loads of experience in what he's talking about. Live the dream, how to get your first job in gaming. So let's give Dan a warm welcome.
Thank you, Will. Thank you so much. Sorry about that little outburst of sound just then. I didn't realise my mic was turned on, so I went blah, 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 blah over the microphone halfway through Will's comments. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome to EGX. Cracking to have you all here. Also, where's the pirate gone? I spot. There he is. Gar, good morning to you, laddie. You know, sorry, I had to do my naffest pirate impression on that one. Anyway, thank you for coming to join me. I'm here today to talk about how to get your foot in the door in the games careers. It is a really hard industry to break into. Also, what we should be focusing on is completely different to most industries. I want to talk through, first off, why. Why we should be working on the games industry, why we should be getting involved. Also, what we need to do in the games industry to sort of give us the best opportunities. Also then, I'm going to try and give you a few tips and tricks about really how to make yourself stand out compared to anybody else. Also, this is a two-way conversation, people. Please, if you've got questions, throw your hands up, give me a shout, go, oi Dan, anything, I don't mind in the slightest. Also, I'm a northerner, so I love to chat, so it's quite nice to break it up a little bit. Cracking. So, let's kick it off. The first things first. Oh, can I get a little bit more volume in this, if that's okay? A little bit more, is that all right? There we go. Oh, that's better. Oh, I felt the power then. There we go. So, first things first, why? This is a huge one now. Yeah, we all play games. We all love that aspect of everything. But one of the biggest things I can say to anybody, before even applying for a position, this is regardless of your career. I cannot stress enough. Really think about your why. And what I mean by this is, why do you want to apply for a certain position? Why do you want to apply for a character art position? Why do you want to apply for design? Why do you want to do code? Or even if you want to step away from the development side, why do you want to get involved in whatever opportunities available inside the games industry, be it finance, in my case, learning and development, or even HR, or publishing, or production, all these other industries. Ask yourself why I want to do this. People do not buy what you do. They buy why you do it. I'm going to give you a bit of an example. I wish, by the way, I coined that phrase. I'm not that intelligent. A gentleman called Simon Sinek coined that. If anybody's heard of that, he wrote a book called Start With The Why. He also made a TED Talk called Start With The Why. It's 18 minutes long. I recommend watching that over reading the book because I'm lazy. But you know. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. So, I love learning development. I'm a learning development manager, and I bloody love what I do. Sincerely. If I tell you what I do versus why I do something, I'm going to let you guys sort of summarize which you prefer. So what I do is, I'm a learning development manager. I've been there for 10 years. I've worked at previous companies, like obviously my favorite nDreams right there, because it's a games company. I'm a gamer through and through. I've worked at Apple, Samsung, Google, Facebook for a little bit, Swatch Group just down the road. Like I say, I've been doing it for about 10 years. Previously, before that, I did IT support. My hobbies are gaming, obviously. I've got 4,500 hours on Rust alone. Please do not judge me on that one. I am a nice person, I promise you. I absolutely love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. It's my passion. That's what I do. Didn't really sound very inspirational, does it? It's just a list. That's basically your CV right there in a nutshell. However, if I tell you why I do something, that's the difference. So about 10, 11 years ago now, I was in Apple, and this gentleman came in called John. I remember his name now. He lives a part of my life. Anyway, he came in. This is the days before things like Moonpig and all these print services and stuff like that. And he said, Dan, I want to create a photo album. I was like, not a problem. On Apple, they've got an app called Photos, and they used to have this print service function hidden away in the back. I was like, enter Federer. I can help him out with this, not a problem. So I helped him out, sat with him for 2 hours. We built a beautiful photo album, got it printed. Didn't think anything more of it. He buggered off, I buggered off as well at the same time. This was in November. Anyway, come February, he came back in, and he locked eyes with me. Just like me and this gentleman right now. Oh, that was a nice connection, that was. And he locked eyes, and he came across to me, and gave me a hug. I'm a hugger, by the way. Everybody, I'm a hugger, so if you come up to me at the stand, I will embrace you straight away. And he gave me a hug, and I was like, thank you, I'll take this. I love a bit of emotional connection, thank you very much. Anyway, the lady that was with him, I recognized her as well, and she came over and gave me a hug, and she was getting a bit chin wobbly, so I got a bit chin wobbly. I can't help but align with people. Anyway, I was like, hey up, John, how's things? And he was like, buddy, you have no idea how much you've impacted my life. Anyway, Rachel, his daughter, took over and said, about 2 years prior, him and his daughter had a massive breakup, a family situation. We've all had them. And basically, she cut him out of her life completely, including his grandkids. He was using this photo album to reconnect and remember the good times with his family. He wanted to take it over on Christmas Day to get that connection back. He did that. He welcomed them back into life, and now he has access to his grandkids again. And he openly said, I would have never had that if it wasn't for you helping me out in that day. I bloody melted on the spot. I was gone. I was an emotional wreck. Tears were flooding everywhere. We hugged and embraced again. I went home that evening. My partner at the time, I said, I figured out what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to help other people. It gives me, it's like an addiction almost. And ever since that day, that's all I've strived to do, is try and impact people's life, help people out on their journey. And that's my reason why. A little bit more inspirational than what I do, right? You guys need to find the exact same thing inside of yours. Why is it you want to create games? Why is it you want to do what you do? And share that story. I'm going to talk about where you share that story at the very end of this talk as well. It's really impactful. I shared my story with my employer, nDreams. They openly said that's the only reason I got the job. There was other people more qualified than me, but I shared my why. And Tammy just went, I bought into you, not into what you do. And I was like, jeez. So yeah, have a think about that and have a stew on it. Anyway, let's get on to the presentation, shall we? So now we discussed your why, I want to discuss what the games industry is, because there's a lot of questioning around this, shall we say. I get approached all the time by students saying, oh, I'm a games designer. I'm like, oh, sweet, shows your portfolio. And then they show 3D artwork. And I'm like, that's not game design, buddy. But I appreciate you nonetheless. And the way a lot of universities are marketing their courses, it's game design, but they may be more leaning on coding, or they may be more generalistic, and all this sort of jazz. So I just want to spend 5 minutes and just quickly bust through all of the roles inside the games, so we have a clear understanding of what things are, and you know what you want to achieve then at that point as well. Cool beans. So, we'll look at the development side, 'cause it's not all about development. We also have other areas in the games that it should be part of as well. The big five. We'll start from the left-hand side because it's the easiest one to explain. QA. I would hope everybody knows what QA does in this room. I wouldn't be angry, I'd be disappointed. That motherly one. I'm looking at you all. So, QA is a vital part of the games industry. By the way, just a massive tip, never play any games in your personal time with anybody that works in QA, because they're going to mess the game up for you, period. I started playing Dying Light 2 with our lead QA person. 15 minutes, he'd figured a bug out and how to get max out all of his character's attributes straight away. And I was like, oh, dude, just broke the narration for me. Now that's all I can focus on. Brilliant. But this is a brilliant way. If you love playing games and you love finding these bugs or these Easter egg hunting, that side of things, QA will be for you. They have such a meticulous way of playing games. They look at every inch. I've seen gamers who just want to do speed runs. That's not QA. QA people literally delve into every inch of the game. They are the ones, being very frank, probably the most passionate gamers I've seen are the QA people. So if you love finding bugs, head to QA. We always forget about the audio team, though. This kind of splits into two areas. We've got audio designers, we've got audio programmers. Audio designers make everything sound lovely and magical and give us that lovely foley out that we need to embrace into a game. By the way, bit of a show of hands. Has anybody played a game with no sound? How jarring is that, right? it's bizarre. It's like you don't get the true emotional connection to it. I am very biased because I did that at university, sound production. But if you've ever listened to a movie or anything like that, how much sound can really impact a game and your emotional connection to something. To really emphasize this, I love checking this video out. There's a video on YouTube that this gentleman did, and he took, I'm guessing everybody knows the movie The Shining, bit of a horror movie. Kids, if you've watched Ready Player One, it's on there, briefly referenced and all that sort of jazz. For adults and stuff like that, we remember the movie and absolutely pooping ourselves? Yep, I was in there as well. But what this gentleman had done is, they'd taken away all the sound and put some like romantic comedy music over the top of it, and it changed the entire lot. It kind of felt more like the movie like The Notebook or Holiday or something like that, and I was like, this looked really weird seeing Jack Nicholson in that sort of frame. But that highlighted how important that audio aspect is. So then you also get audio programmers. They're the guys that then look at more how to take that audio and then apply it to any triggers and things like that. So if you have a passion for audio, but also have a little bit of a flair for code as well, audio programming's for you. Let's get into the big three, shall we? Art, design, and code. Let's split this off, shall we, to start with. I'm going to sound like I'm doing a Bible verse now. In the beginning, there was just code and art. And think of these like bickering siblings. Oh, it's magical watching these two work together. You've got one side, I want to make things as beautiful as possible. You got the other side, but it's not practical in the slightest. It's not going to load correctly. This is going to have all these bugs and all that sort of jazz. They're like siblings squabbling and all that. So if we look at art, we've got inside of the art team, we've got environment artists, 3D artists. By the way, they are very separate, by the way. So if you do have a portfolio that favors either of them, split them off. I recommend it. In all of your portfolios, split all the disciplines off. Makes it look a lot less convoluted. So you've got 3D art, character art, 3D art and prop art kind of lives together, environment art, VFX. By the way, VFX is needed in the industry massively, so focus on that one. Not that I'm biased at all. Outside of that, another huge area of interest for the games industry is UI and UX as well, which sits inside the art side. Everybody that studies UI and UX gets snapped up by banking and mobile applications all the time. And I'm like, no, come work at the games industry. It's so much cooler. So yeah, have a little bit of a focus on it. And that is the art in a nutshell. We've then got the programmers on this other end of the side. Obviously, you've got your generalized programmer side. You've got AI programmers. A huge area of interest as well is network programmers. Woo, that's a big one. So if you want to get hyper-specialized, I recommend leaning into that because you'll get snapped up straight away. Anyway, I want to define what design is. Because, again, they get wrapped up in all of these positions. I apologize now if I offend any designers in the building, but if you've got a God complex, you're going to design. Because you get to dictate everything that they do. I'll be honest, I belong there as well. And the best way I articulate what a designer does is, if you've ever been sat down on the couch with your best mate, playing your game, and you've gone, that should have been done like that should have been done like this instead, you're a designer. That's exactly what they do. But you've got different levels of designers. So you've got your gameplay designers, you've got your level designers, you've got your tech designers, the big three. Your gameplay designers, think of them as your overarching puppet masters. They set the rules out for the entire game. It's going to be, I don't know, a multiplayer co-op, or it's going to be a roguelike, or it's going to be a dungeon dweller. It's going to be whatever game it may be, and set all the major overarching outcomes. You then get level designers, who's basically, they're getting all their information from the gameplay designers, saying, what do we want to achieve for this level? For example, a level designer will say, on level 1, the player needs to learn how to run, jump, crouch. How are we going to do that? And they will map out something that achieves all these attributes. These are the biggest ones. Design is more like the in-betweeners between art and code now. They tell the artists what they're allowed to do, how many polygons you're allowed to use rather than going full artist tilt. And they also tell the programmers what to do. And they kind of act like when I've said about siblings squabbling, they act like the parent in between the two, going, right, you do that, you do that. And then they all get aligned with each other. So if you're able to tell people what to do, get yourself into design, it's a cracking bit. I'll be honest, that's where I belong. I love having a chat on the couch with my friends and discussing games and all that side jazz. Does that all make sense about what the positions in development are? Brilliant. Fire away. I'm going to come down now there.
I don't remember. You said gameplay, level, and
Tech design as well.
I can be your underling. You tell me where to go.
Oh, I love this. I've got an assistant now. Oh. By the way, Will, when he's got his jacket on, looks like a beautiful Care Bear. It's bloody glorious. I love it. So, even though... Oh, I've got a question. Will, go for it. Go, 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 go. I've got another one queued up as well. Oh, we've got no sound. Hola, Mr. Audio. Can we unmute Will's mic?
Oh, hello. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Can you just repeat what the tech designers were doing?
So what tech design do? So they basically look at all the internal technologies of the industry. Say, for instance, I'm trying to not give an example of a game that we're working on so I don't get told off by our community manager. It's really hard to think of an example on this, but so, perfect, a climbing mechanic. Say if we're interested in a climbing mechanic in a game, they will build that climbing mechanic as such and then apply it to each one of the levels where it needs to be repeated. Oh God, that was really, I was looking at our games going, don't mention that, don't mention that, don't mention this.
Of the three design disciplines that you mentioned there, where would narrative and story fall in?
Oh, thank you for correcting me. I am no hash to being wrong. Thank you for correcting me. Do you know what? Actually, one of my colleagues, who's a really good friend of mine, would probably give me the death stare if I didn't mention this one. I forgot about narrative design. So, I had a really cool opportunity last year to meet Rhianna Pratchett. Has anybody heard of her? So, if you're a Terry Pratchett fan, his daughter, but she was also the narrative designer for Tomb Raider as well. Yeah, exactly that. That's what I was like this in front of me going, oh God, oh my God, oh my God, and just fanboying out so hard. So narrative design, kind of in the title right there, they look at the whole overarching storyline of what they want to achieve. For instance, if we look at Stardew Valley, I'm saying that because I've just bought a Void chicken from a stand over there, and it's cute as high hell. It's just over there as well because I'm a fanboy. If we look at the overall narrative of that, they've designed more like Q's Lab and stuff along those lines. They've looked at the relationship storylines. They've also literally typed up, when you see the chats and coming in inside of there, they've created all of that as well. Does that articulate what narrative design? They basically look at the storyline and physically writing all the text and all the character narrations and all that sort of jazz. But it's a good point. Ellis is the name. They would have killed me if I wouldn't have mentioned narrative design, because that's all they've been speaking to me about for the last sort of year. Whew, I'm glad they're not here. Thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for checking me on that one. I appreciate it, man. Cool. So any other questions about development before I move on to non-dev stuff? I've got another one. Mr. Pac-Man himself.
So I know that you already said that we should focus on the why we want to do something, but I was wondering for each of these fields whether there are any prerequisites that you tend to look for, or that things that you'd require to be able to go into these industries?
Very much so. I'm not going to torpedo myself because I'm going to come to that just after this explanation about what you should be focusing on in your application. I'm going to give you all the tool tippets as well right at the end. I can very easily go off on tangents, so you don't want to lose me now, otherwise we've gone all day.
You haven't got 12 hours.
I haven't got 12 hours. Okay, you need to keep me on check just in case. So, outside of development, because the games industry doesn't function without anything else as well. I thought that person had a question over there, but they're just waving for somebody else. Whoops, nearly. But we can't just think of development as well. If it wasn't for all these other teams, nothing would happen, period. Human resources, for instance, don't forget that side. If you love people and you're passionate about people, the games industry is by far the best. I've worked in so many cool tech companies who are meant to be like leading. They do not touch a single thing on the games industry. Not when it comes to inclusion, the love of people. I've never seen and worked with a more passionate and devoted set of people than inside this industry. Obviously, I'm very biased. I've only worked at nDreams. But I know our team are bloody amazing. So if you love people, check out learning and development. Check out the recruitment side as well. Because in recruitment, you get to speak to everybody from every background. It's beautiful. And then learning and development, it's an up-and-coming string inside the games industry. Also got to look at the publishing team. If you're into marketing, if you're into graphic design, if you're into videography, if you're into brand management, if you're into being a community manager like our Jimmy Pop over there, looking after our Discord channel, all our social medias, publishing's for yourself. So even if you don't necessarily want to, if you love graphic art and you don't necessarily want to get into the development side, you can still be a part of this cracking industry. Outside of that, obviously, you've got your financial side. We all need to get paid regardless of how much we love it and we find out why. We still need a bit of dollar to live, right? The IT crowd. Yeah, sorry, I can't help it. I'm a fanboy of the IT crowd, so I had to put that into the presentation. I think I did actually put, I tried turning it on and off again as well in there just to really cheese them off to see whether they'd see this presentation or not. But our IT team, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have a single game whatsoever. They manage all of our servers, where our central tech is stored, how we access. And now we've lived in this sort of hybrid remote field. They look after all of that aspect as well, so they are hyper important and vigilant part of the team. And then our office management side as well. We are still based in the office. The games industry offices are, being very frank, are the coolest ones. I mean, we've got the whole cliche ping pong tables, pool tables. We have beer Fridays, not that we're promoting alcohol at all, but there's soft drinks there as well. All this comes from our office guys as well, because they're so passionate about the people doing what they love doing. They want to make the environment as best as possible. So don't just think of development as the being end-all in the games industry. Look at these other positions and all. But anyway, that's the whys and the whats. Let's look at the how now. How do we actually break into this industry? Oh, before I start off on this, I'm going to stress this, and I can't stress enough. If you take away one thing and one thing only from this entire talk, no studio cares what qualification you got and what score you got. Oh, controversial. However, what universities do give you is time to work on the thing that matters and gives you direction, which is your portfolio. So, this is the order of things that we generally, to answer my man's question right here, we're coming into it right now. The ranking of things and what's important when you're applying for a position in the games industry. Your portfolio reigns king every single time. I'm going to go into what that means a little bit more in depth in a minute. After that, I'm going to say something very controversial now. Your cover letter. I'm sorry, but in the UK, I've hired people from all over Europe. We are the worst when it comes to the cover letter. They always start the same. I'm a young, ambitious year-old who's just done his something degree in something with a 2-1, etc., etc. If your cover letter starts like that, delete it straight away. When I stress the whys, this is what's in my cover letter. The story I told you about how I got into learning development is what I put in my cover letter. I started off going, my cover letter started was, I can't believe I found somewhere that's bringing together my two passions in life, people and games. I then started the story of why I got into learning development. I then did a little paragraph at the end of why and how I got into gaming. Just to give you a little bit of a heads up what that looked like. I was very lucky when I was a kid. I lived in Tenerife for 13 years, despite this northern accent right there. However, I was very isolated. I lived on a tourist location, didn't have any long-form friends. I had 2-week rotational friends. This was before the days of things like Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, insert social media here sort of side. I am an old sod. I had pen pals, that old chestnut, until one day, when I was about 12 years old, a friend of mine introduced me to a platform called MIRC. I'm looking for any old boys that do a quick subtle nod, because I'm like, oh, thank God one of you guys are here. And this is an old chat client for gamers and hackers. And he introduced me to stay in contact with him. That introduced me to Counter-Strike 1.3. And that was good night, Irene, from there. I was inducted into the game side of things. This was before Steam was even a thing. I'm showing my age a little bit right now. And that got me into the games. Games were the way I built long-term friendships. Jimbo, I'm still friends with today. We play Rust together. And I'm 35 now, so that's just 22 years ago now. I know, I'm surprised. Good moisturizing cream, I know. Looks fantastic. But That's what games mean to me. They have allowed me to build these relationships. And in your cover letter, you should articulate that. Why are you into the games industry? Why do you want to achieve what you want to achieve? Why do you want to apply for that company in particular? Make it personal to that company. Please do research. Again, in my little paragraph I did about gaming, I'd actually played Phantom, one of our games, before applying for the position, and I told him about a drunken night I spent with my mate in VR where we got a bit too tipsy, staggered, and fell over playing Phantom, and they locked onto it because it made it personal. It made an emotional connection with each other. To put a bit of science behind this, everybody know about the 70-30 split about effective communication. It's not, people are only taking about 30% of what you say is the words, the physical words that you say. 70% is all other forms of non-verbal communication, such as my body linguistics, the pitch, the tone I'm talking in, the passion that I have. That's where your cover letter comes in. Your CV are the words that you're saying. Your cover letter gives us that emotional connection. Again, people buy why you do something, not what you do. I can't stress that enough. So inside your cover letter, share those stories. I love wherever VJ is, I'm gonna put him out on the spot. He applied for a position, told us why. I fell in love with the guy straight away. That's why I still remember his name. And then comes to the stand, I gave him a hug this morning straight. I told him I'm a hugger. So please do that. So then, outside of your cover letter, the next biggest one is your portfolio. One of the biggest faults that people do is they create a massive portfolio of about 10, 15 examples of the work, beautifully polished stuff. That's all well and good. I've got a bit of a runny nose. All well and good, but how long does it take you to do that? The games industry adhere to certain mile markers. They adhere to certain key points. They've got to know you're able to achieve, I don't know, say if you're making a 3D prop of this speaker, for instance. They don't want to know that it's taking you 2 years to make that speaker. They want you to know you can do it in like 3 or 4 days. So when you do have your portfolio, put only about 6 or 7 beautiful examples, your best work, but inside this, and obviously just it's easy to pick on the 3D art guys. In ArtStation, when you click on the image and it expands it out into all the further images, this is a big one now. Put the entire process down. What I mean by that is concept, physical drawing on a napkin. Then week 1, timestamp all of this, by the way. Week 1, I got a wireframe of that object. Week 2, I did all the skins and the textures for it. Week 4, I applied it. There's the finished product. Job's a good one. What that does is it stresses to the industry that you understand the process of absolutely everything. Meaning, you're basically ready on day 1 to go. That's been the main issue with the production team hiring graduates is they're so scared that you don't know the process. So they're thinking you're going to have to be mentored left, right, and center to understand this process. And if you can stress that in your portfolio, that takes that concern away. So that applies to design as well and code, literally from concept. If you've done a game jam, for instance, and you've got that inside your portfolio, literally detailing out your original draft of your game proposal, or if you've ever used the Vicky process, articulating that as well. By the way, Vicky, where's my mic runner? Come on, Care Bear! He's got his jacket on now. This is cracking.
I got dressed up for you.
Thank you. You spoiled me. See what I mean? Just want to give him a hug straight away.
I just have a quick question. How would that work with audio?
I'm glad that you said that. So when you get given, for instance, like a task to do, detailing that, so you'll get like a project proposal or like a key mark, like can you put this in, put that in, literally just documenting that down. That's literally all we need. As long as, because all that does is, we're not looking for, just to stress enough, we're not looking for real world examples of work. Game jams are perfect, even if it's just your own stuff that you're putting in. But that shows us that you understand the process, that you've gone from a concept or just like a project proposal or a document, for instance, saying what you've got to achieve, or listing out your instructions. Okay, I've got this project name, X, Y, Z. I've got to achieve this in 2 weeks' time. These are my outcomes. This is what success looks like. This is the criteria. You documenting that, and then going, okay, this is my first draft, this is my final product, this is the program inside, jobs are good. Does that make a bit more sense?
Yeah.
Brilliant. That applies to, obviously, level design. If you've got a GDD document, putting your GDD document on there, then your first draft, like again, a wireframe or a playable VSD, and then into alpha, beta, final product, just like that. Yeah. Oh, we've got a line now. We need a ticketing service.
So if you've got a portfolio, but you've got experience outside of the games industry, how important is it to show gaming-specific examples and things, or is it not at all?
Not at all, man. I can't stress enough. People assume that you've got to have games industry-specific examples inside your portfolio. No. A person that we just give a job to for a graduate level designer, not a single week's worth of professional experience. They've just done their own agendas. So they've done a couple of game jams. They also set themselves individual tasks. And what that actually showed us was, oh, this person's got drive, passion, and they've got that want and need to do something. And that said more than a professional thing. It's easy to be told what to do, but being able to do it off your own back, that's another kettle of fish. I hope that answered it, man.
Hello, yeah, I'm a professional writer and I wanted to get...
I'm going to have to come down. Sorry, my guy.
Yeah, I'm a professional writer and I want to get involved in the gaming industry as a... what's the terminology?
Narrative.
A narrative writer. I have a large body of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've made several applications to companies such as Sony, Ubisoft, and even Namco. How can I apply, show that I have the ability to tell stories even though I've been published?
I've got you. Let me come back to the stage then and answer that one. Yeah. So just to give you a bit of a heads up what that question was. That was good timing, by the way. So thank you for bringing it up. Potential narrative designer right there. Just said, how are we supposed to show examples if I don't have any game-specific examples of narrative, for instance? Doesn't have to be game-specific. So if you've got any narration work in your past, or even projects that you've personally worked on, put that into your portfolio. That's perfectly fine. Like I said, I'm going to put her on the spot. She's not here, but she's called Lucy Bradbury. Check her out on LinkedIn. She's cracking. Not a single bit of professional experience. She's just set her own tasks up herself and included a couple of game jams. I can't stress enough, if you want some... Because sometimes it's really, really bloody hard to find that motivation yourself, to go out and just go, okay, I'm going to create X, Y, and Z. This is where game jams come into their own. I urge you, my guy. In case you've not done any game jams and you're like, yeah, but where do I find them out? Brilliant place to check them out is itch.io/game jams. There is a complete schedule on there of all the game jams that are happening all around the world. However, there's certain companies in the UK that also support people with this and how to get sort of like bond people together so they can do game jams themselves. I'm not sure who it's gone anyway, so I can say what I want now. Intergames are a brilliant provider of this, intergames.org. Check out their website. They've got pretty much everything I've spoke about now on their website, all the positions. But join their Discord channel. There's about 2,000 or 3,000 games students on side there that do impromptu game jams every other month, and they invite everybody to it. Alternatively, Mr. Jimmy Pop, our community manager on our Discord channel, has created like a hub of people. So obviously I've got to do a plug for nDreams. So join our Discord channel. And also, if you want to do some work with us or do some work with the students that are inside of our channel, just put going, I fancy doing a game jam. Anybody up for it? ? That happens every week pretty much for us. And then you'll get a cohort of about 8 or 9 people joining together. But outside of Intergames, there's like Grads in Games as well, a really nice little provider for that side of things. Again, they've got a Discord channel which do regular sort of game jam meetups and all that sort of stuff. Cool beans. Any other questions before I move on? Oh, yeah. Oh, he's got the mic already. Nice.
Hello. I just wanted to ask about job applications that have like...
Let me come across again. Sorry, I'm deaf.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask about like, job applications that ask for like previous experience, like, 1A, AAA title.
This is something that annoys me. I'm trying to change this in the games industry at the moment. Oh, this is a gripe. You're all going to sigh now. It's a beautiful thing to bring up, and we shouldn't run away from that ghost, really. The amount of... this is an industry issue, nothing to do with you guys, and it's something that I'm trying to change as well. We do not do this anymore, I can promise you this. In a graduate position, in a junior position, they should never ask for experience on a AAA game. The amount of times that I've seen a job ad, I'm not pointing any fingers or anything like that because that'd be freaking horrible of me, that I've seen a junior position say 1 to 2 years on a AAA game. I'm like, what's sub-junior? If somebody would say to me a junior position, I'd expect them to be completely green. We've moved away from that model now, so we do not, at nDreams, we do not ask for any experience when it comes to junior or graduates. And we're trying to change that ethos. We've put a program together for the graduate scheme. We've hired, just this year, even though we're a 180-person studio, we've hired 28 graduates so far, based off no experience whatsoever. Experience should come under that, what I mentioned to my man here about we don't need industry professional experience. We just want to see that you have an understanding for the process. Unfortunately, there's nothing that you can do to affect that. That is down to all of the games companies in this arena right now to change. I'm calling everybody out here up on stage. I don't mind. I'm going to get a lot of backlash for this. I love this. It's down to them. So unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do directly to impact your application. The games industry have got to change that. But good. Thank you for addressing it, because it needed to be addressed.
I stole it, sorry. Not a question, more a comment on what you just said. I am a hiring manager in a gaming company in London. We sometimes do this. I'm sorry, we're working on it.
Stink eye right now.
it's one of those things that you shouldn't take seriously, especially in like junior and mid-level positions. This is kind of ballpark for us and our managers to know that we're asking it, not necessarily that we require that experience. What we're asking is personal involvement in gaming industry around 1 or 2 years, so you kind of know what games are, and we will not have to teach you that, oh, gaming industry is about making games, and games are interactive things for players to play with. It's stupid. We're working on it. It will go away, hopefully soon.
Yeah, it's a real shame because we need to do you know what? I'm going to be very frank. It's down to me and you to push back. So when we have hiring managers coming to us saying, I want to hire a junior that's got 2 years experience, we need to go, no, you want a standard with 2 years experience. We need to fight that fight, my man. If we can do it, we can change everybody's mindset and create that. We can do this, brother. If you need any help with that, please come grab my card at the end of it all, take my details down, and I will fight that with you. Sweet, brother.
Can I ask another question? I want to be
You
pushy.
can ask as many as you like, as long as other people don't mind as well.
What about cancelled projects, if you have, like, in your
Oh, yeah,
experience?
put cancel. If you've done cancelled projects, put that on there as well. It's experience nonetheless. So please, like I say, it doesn't have to be finished products. It could be stuff that you've just thought of in your bedroom. Cancelled projects, not a problem. Anything on there is beautiful. But again, the biggest thing is that you articulate that you understand the process. What discipline is it, you, my man?
I'm a 3D artist.
3D, okay. We want to see the original concept. We want to see the wireframe that you've created, and then the finished product with date stamps across them all. That's the biggest thing, because then that gives us a full understanding of what your abilities are as well. We know what you can achieve. It's easy for me to achieve a beautiful model of this in 2 years. May not be in about 2 weeks, for instance. And that's the difference between two people right there. Cool beans. Cool, so just to reiterate everything, portfolio and process, articulate that so bad. Bringing in your cover letter, really articulating why you want to work in the industry or want to work for this company in particular. Then focus on your CV. One big little tidbit, brand yourself, please. I am so bored of CVs being a black and white Word document. We work in the games industry. We are cool as hell, man. Let's be expressive. If you want to see some examples, I am here all day. Please come grab me. I'll show you my cover letter. I'll show you my CV. I'm not precious about it. I'll give you a few examples. We've got another one, Will.
When you're talking about timestamps for the pieces that you're doing as you're doing them, would it be potentially more useful for you to see the number of hours that we put into it as opposed to the dates?
That is a very good point. Yeah, that would be a fantastic thing. I've not even thought of that. So just mention then, would it be also good to put on side of your portfolio the amount of hours that you've invested in that particular project? Yes. 110% yes. Again, it gives us a better idea that you understand the process and what your work ethic is, what you're able to achieve in 1 hour compared to somebody who may take a year to do the exact same thing. Do that, that'll set you apart from everybody else. Trust.
Anyone else? You get another free question.
Thank you. So another question, you mentioned a lot about understanding the process of making whatever part of the game you're on. What about if you don't know anything or very much about the process? Where would you go to learn more about that?
Oh, this is beautiful. I'm going to do a selfless plug again. This is actually comes on. Do you know what? I think I've just paid him to segue me onto my next slide. Thank you for queuing that one up. What else can you do to get more information and how to get yourself out there? The one thing I love about the games industry, I have not had a single person who I've approached completely cold turn me away. Every single person, because they love what they do, they're so bloody passionate about what they do, me included, they will happily share all their knowledge with you. So, I am going to come on to answer that exact question, but what else can we do outside of just applying for the games industry side? I'm going to use Liam Peachy as an example, over at Portsmouth University. He's just ignored me. But I tell you what, everybody, look over there towards Portsmouth University. He's got a beard and tattoos on his sleeve. He's looking around a bit aimlessly right now. But Liam Peachy still lives in my dreams. As you can see, he's in my head right now. He applied for a position. Unfortunately, he didn't get the position. However, he joined our Discord channel. He then chatted to everybody. He's now a moderator of our Discord channel. We're off for drinks tonight with him as well. Not that, we're not alcohol at all. But we're off for a bevy or two of soft drinks. Find the company that you want to work for. At the end of the day, working for a company is like being in a relationship. You need to believe in the same ideologies as each other. For instance, a vegan wouldn't work for a company like MBD who do testing on beagles, for Christ's sakes. Your ideologies don't align. You need to find a company that aligns with your ideologies, who you believe in. Liam found that with us, and now he lives in mine and Jimmy's dreams pretty much continuously. So whenever a position came available, funnily enough, happened about 6 months ago, he's not graduated yet, a level design position came available. I messaged him privately before the position had even gone live saying, dude, apply for this position. Networking is bloody brilliant. So go on to your favorite studio's Discord channels. Join nDreams Discord channel. Join any other Discord channel that you may want to do. Add people on LinkedIn is going to become your favorite friend. I cannot stress enough. On your CV, on your cover letter, on your LinkedIn, create a brand across all three that is you. And then network with everybody. Add me on LinkedIn, I don't mind. Damn straight get me up on there. You'll get to see all the latest news from me and all that sort of jazz. I'm very egotistical. But yeah, get yourself out there. That is probably your biggest thing as well. It puts you in the forefront. So when a position does come available, if you're working with, like Liam, he can openly ask anybody in our studio, all of our, even our senior level designers, any questions, and he gets them answered straight away. Because he's got that relationship with them now. So if you are you're not unsure of the process, to come back to this point, or if you want to get some more knowledge, join a studio's channel and ask them. Trust me, we love sharing. It is, I'm not joking, it rubs their egos up the right way because they're like, oh, I know something, this is quite nice. And they will happily help. We live in this is a beautiful industry, man. It's hard to describe. I know I keep harping on about it, but it's the most accepting community I've ever been involved in, period. So damn straight. So, portfolio, cover letter, networking, CV lives down the bottom here somewhere, but obviously still remains important. So like I said, joining third-party clubs like Into Games, Grads in Games, getting involved in the company Discord channels. Do you know what? Screw it. Doing speculative applications as well. Does everybody know what a speculative application is before I harp on about them? No, getting a lot of checks. Good. Basically, it's a really fancy word for saying apply for the hell of it. Even if there's not a job position available. We've actually opened up a tech artist. Oh, I'm going to tell you Malika's story now. So, beautiful example of networking. Malika, she's called. She's coming to join us as a tech artist next week. I cannot bloody wait. So she's a graduate. She's only been in. She worked for Kings for 3 months. It wasn't really her career path. We were at Guildford Games having some soft drinks. All of the games as well. All of the Guildford area. It's a social thing. If anybody's down there, it's cracking good fun. Anyway, there was about 20 nDreamers. Yes, we are a verb. 20 nDreamers just chilling. And Malika, bless her, she's only a graduate. She came up and spoke to our head of HR, Vicky, and asked inquired about any job positions that were available and asked whether we could do a quick portfolio review for her. And we said, yeah, no problem. I loved her tenacity to take the initiative to come and approach us and ask for help. We opened up a position for her. We found out she was a tech artist. We loved her behaviors. We said, we'll train you into the position, don't you worry about that. And we hired her exclusively for it. So do it. There's no, what's the worst that's going to happen? No, you're exactly where you started from, so why not, right? So speculative application is going to be your one. This going back to yours, challenge yourself, set yourself your own mile markers. Write your own narrative stuff just for your own projects to show that you can do that process. And that will then add into your portfolio, which is beautiful. Biggest one now, and it's cheese. Oh, got to finish on a bit of cheese. But being yourself. By the way, this is me in real life. This is how I articulate myself and how I look at Will.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, it's exhausting, exactly that. I do operate. By the way, I operated like this till about 7 o'clock at night, and then I'm like, doof, onto the ground, done. They put me into a cupboard, then wheel me out the next morning. Being yourself, showing your passion. There's a reason you want to get into this games industry. We don't want to buy robots. We want to buy you as an individual. So I can't stress enough. Anyway, that is 45 minutes of me screaming at you. And I apologize for that, but I hope you've got some little bits of tidbits of information. However, I am here this entire weekend. We are going to be doing portfolio reviews there as well as a crossover here as well. So if you want to get some help and advice, please feel free to come speak to me, Sarah, or Jimmy. Like I said, we'll be here the entire weekend. But thank you for tolerating me, and I'll hopefully speak to you soon as well. Cheers.